Guys, this is awkward.
I don't even know how to be awkward now.
Because now you're just normal.
I don't. If you tell me to be awkward, I can't be awkward.
All right. 3, 2, 1, let's begin. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the first interview of many that I intend on creating for this channel. Today, I have the lovely Michelle here to be part of my co-host for this episode, and it's essentially just a casual conversation with an INTP. So the whole point of this video is just to have a casual conversation with another person to learn more about their type and just to see the human aspect of being that specific type. A little background about Michelle and myself. We actually met at this random meetup in New York, and do you remember the first time we met?
Yeah, it was didn't we go to one MBTI meetup?
Yeah.
They happen every so often, but we met at the only one that you've been to so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many did you go to before that?
I think I went to 2 before that one.
Okay.
1 or 2.
Mm-hmm. Can you let the audience know, like what to expect?
Basically, it's just for people interested in MBTI or maybe some people that know their type and they just get together and talk about different types and maybe just talk about other topics and get to know each other. And everybody has a name tag on that says their type or what they think their type is. So we can kind of observe and see how the different types interact and act around each other.
I forgot that there was a name tag.
Yeah. Remember we went to that restaurant and everybody still had the name tags on. And
did we?
Yeah, or not everybody, but some people still did. So we were being like nerds in public.
Yeah. What Michelle's telling me is that we had our name tags on, and I don't remember the name tags at all. Like, how do you remember that?
I know that the other time I went, or the other 2 times, I can't remember now, we had name tags too, so I think that's why I remember it, because it was more than just the one time.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's really interesting to me because things like that just kind of flies over my head, and I think it's honestly because I have low SE. Having extrovert sensing in like the 4th slot makes it so it's difficult for me to see those little things that I think most people like tend to see.
What do you think has to do with SI? Do you think it like SI, or does SI have to do with memory?
SI does have to do with memory. It has to do with comfort, first and foremost, right? And if I were to make a guess, right, which honestly it could mean anything, it probably doesn't have anything to do with cognitive functions. The way that I would attribute SI to you remembering a name tag is that because you've been to a meetup before and you remember that we had name tags, then the next time you went, your SI reminds you, hey, we typically have name tags on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Moving on. Do you believe that your results of being an INTP is correct? Why and why not?
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure about anything. But I did consider other types a lot. I first tested as an INTP, I think. I can't remember. It was probably around 10 years ago.
Okay.
And I questioned my type a lot, especially as I was learning more about MBTI. I would think, well, maybe I have more NE, even though I'm an introverted, shy person. I felt like maybe my NE was stronger than my TI, so then I considered ENTP, even though I don't think I really act like people that I know as ENTPs. I thought maybe it was a possibility. I also have a really even split between thinking and feeling, so I considered some feeling types like INFP. There was one person that's known me for a while that just online, it was in an online MBTI group, but they always said I was an INFP.
Why?
I don't know. They would just say, "Oh, I just get this feeling that you're like an INFP." So then that got into my head too, and I thought, well, yeah, my feeling is pretty much almost like 50-50 on those tests, even though those tests aren't really measuring cognitive functions.
Yeah.
So I would really consider that, but then I would think, no, I don't have FI as my top function. It's more TI.
Do you feel like you have FI at all in your like 4 stacks?
I mean, I know that I definitely use it, especially now. I think I used it, yes, less when I was younger.
Okay.
But I think I've talked to you and Mitt. Mitt is another friend of ours that we met at the MBTI meetup, who is an ENTJ.
Apparently, allegedly ENTJ.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. No, I'm pretty sure he's an ENTJ.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, he seems like it. So I talked with us about how I've been developing my FI more lately, like in the last years, because I consciously wanted to. I wanted to have, a stronger sense of what I value personally, and to build that up, more familiar with what is it that I want, what is it that I believe, what do I place a higher value on myself, instead of looking to other people or needing to use logic to get an answer about things. I wanted to use more FI.
How does that differ from when you were younger? You mentioned that it's a different approach to when you were younger. Can you describe the method that you use back then as compared to now?
I think it was definitely more logic based, so probably a lot of TI. And I would also look a lot to other people. I still do that. I still will, look to others to see how are other people doing things, or what do other people think about that, if this is okay or not, or whatever it is that I'm trying to decide. So I would either, use just pure logic instead of saying like, oh, how do I feel about this? I would be like, what makes the most sense? Or what does it seem like other people think makes the most sense? So it's probably FE and TI. Does that what that sounds like to you?
That's what it sounds like to me. I think my question is, how does something make sense to you?
Logic. I know.
Yeah, like what does that mean? And then I'm asking you because TI is foreign to me. I'm not really sure how TI actually operates. I mean, I have an understanding, but I don't live it. So like, if you were to describe how TI logic works, can you describe where the information comes in, what the logic is? How do you know that this logic is a valid logic to put in your framework, and as opposed to something that's just pure fluff?
I think it's just taking, pieces of information, whether it's a theory or something, just information that you gathered that you just assume to be true, and putting it together in a way that makes sense. So when I asked you, does this make sense? I was thinking, like, in terms of how you understand what FI is, or FE and TI are, like, does that sound like the explanations I gave line up with your understanding of what those functions are?
Gotcha.
So it was like, just fitting kind of like the framework of what those things mean, even if it's just like some kind of theory of explaining personalities, like that can be used to build a framework too.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. If you were to choose one thing that's the most stereotypical INTP thing about you, what do you think that would be?
Oh, just one thing?
Or multiple things. If you can, whatever you can think of, like, I would love to hear that.
I mean, just like looking at the things I've done in my life, I was a scientist. I studied physics because I found it really fascinating. And I just, I'm a nerd. That's the thing that's the most INTP about me. And I just wanted to study it. I didn't think about the practical application or anything like that. I just wanted to study physics because I wanted to know about it, and I wanted to understand how the universe works. I feel like that is what drives me a lot, is just trying to understand how the universe works, and that's led me to a lot of things. And then I, eventually it led me to a career and everything, but I wasn't thinking about that when I decided to study physics. I just wanted to know more.
So you just wanted to know more. It was never towards like an end goal of, I want to be not physician, but physicist.
Physicist.
Yeah, you don't want to be a physicist. You don't want to like go to space or anything. It's just you had an interest for knowledge in that field, and then you just decided to run with it.
Exactly. I mean, I didn't not want to be a physicist,
Mm-hmm.
but I also didn't care. I didn't have that as my goal.
Gotcha.
My goal was just to learn
Mm-hmm.
as much as I could.
So knowledge was it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess that's a very typical INTP thing.
Yeah, no, you'll never hear an INTJ say that, like ever. If you meet an INTJ, we have to have an end goal that we're working towards.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense for us. Like it logically doesn't make sense for us, which it logically makes sense for you guys. And that goes back to something that I've said in multiple videos. Logic is not logic, because your most common sense is not common sense to someone else. But anyways, so, and I know like that's a hot debate with most INTPs that I've met. But for like as an INTJ, everything that I do has to work backwards from an end goal.
Okay.
And that's not just a career. I'm talking about everything.
Wow.
As in just leaving the house, as in going grocery shopping, as in going to the park. I can't go somewhere unless I have a reason to be there. There's no way. INTJs don't lollygag. Like lollygagging doesn't really make sense unless lollygagging is part of the plan, because we've noticed that we haven't had the opportunity to relax yet.
Okay. So you might say, "Oh, I just want to relax. I need to relax because I'm really stressed out, so I'm going to go for a walk in your park." And that could be, I'm going to go for a walk in the park.
Yeah.
So that could be your goal, is just to relax.
Yeah, so the goal is to relax, and the walking around the park is the method that we use to get to the end goal.
I'm thinking about it, and it's like, I did have a goal. It was just to learn.
Yeah.
So does that count as an INTJ goal? If you're like, I just want to learn as much as I can about this, just because I'm curious.
I think it can. It's just, does learning feel like an ending somewhere? Because for us, there is a precise ending when we work towards something. As in, as in like we get to a certain promotion level, or we make a certain amount of income. You know, like there's a definitive way to measure that this is the ending. This is the end.
Yeah, I think it was more like, I don't know when the ending is going to be. I just want to satisfy my curiosity.
Yeah.
So it would be whenever I feel bored with it.
Yeah. No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because as an INTJ, Mama TE won't allow us to do that. We want knowledge too, because we can't build a framework unless we actually collect data somewhere. And NI is very similar to TI, because NI cares about creating patterns, understanding how the world works, which TI sounds similar to, right? You want to understand something, you want to gain enough knowledge. For NI, instead of understanding knowledge for the sake of understanding knowledge, we need knowledge to understand how things are connected. But as an INTJ, we have Mama TE in our second slot, and TE won't allow us to just do stuff willy-nilly. And that's where it goes back to the whole INTJs don't do stuff unless it's planned, because it has to have one of the other cognitive functions telling the INTJ, hey, you care about it because of FI, or you have to do it because of TE, or this is information that's missing from the NI blueprint. SE is actually the catalyst that tells the INTJ, that not tells the INTJ, but it's like a vessel. SE is the vessel that the INTJ uses to actually go out and retrieve that data for the rest of the cognitive functions. Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how to explain the same thing for INTP. Yeah, I think we've talked about that before, about TI wants to just understand things and put things together in a framework.
Mm-hmm.
And then NE is like the working with that to explore possibilities, maybe possible explanations, or, you know, ideas for how to gather information or whatever ideas
so
it comes up with.
So you use,
right?
I don't know. Like I learned from you. So as an INTP, you used NE as a method to collect information for NI, or for TI.
I think so. I think it's like a way. it works by exploring ideas and
Mm-hmm.
thinking of ideas, and yeah. And then the FE is there to, yeah, how does that tie? Wait, that's at the end. I keep thinking, mixing up and putting it at the third. So the third one is
SI.
SI. So that's like collecting information, but, or not, maybe not collecting information, but it's like recalling, past experiences, right? And maybe that helps TI as well.
Does it help TI?
Maybe, because you might be able to add in new information that you remember from the past, or you see things repeating and you remember how they happened last time, and that can like somehow help your TI put some things together.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
I don't know. I haven't thought about how they all work together, so I'm just kind of trying to do this right now, and maybe it's not completely making sense.
No, I mean, it's making sense to me, honestly. Like, just hearing you talk, right? Just seeing how your brain is processing everything. There's no right or wrong when it comes down to psychology, because every person is inherently different, and every person makes decisions that may seem illogical to other people. And that's something that I've always stressed on my channel. It's that there's no such thing as being wrong when you're a certain type. But let's go to the other side of this. So you mentioned the most INTP thing about yourself. What is the least INTP thing about you that you read online?
That I read online?
Or,
you mean like things that they would say that INTPs wouldn't do?
Yeah, like stereotypes and stuff.
Oh, like, so something that most INTPs do, but I don't do.
Yeah.
I have to think about that. I'm not sure. I mean, I procrastinate. I
mean, well, you're a very sociable person. Like,
yeah,
you're very sociable. You're very outgoing.
I'm not very outgoing.
Oh, okay, you're right. You're very sociable.
I like to be around people, but they have to be people that I'm comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason that I see myself as really introverted, and maybe you don't see that because I was with a group of people that I was comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm with people that I feel like I don't have any, like I don't relate to them, or they intimidate me, I could be in a group of people and I would maybe I don't say anything at all, or like very little. So I think of myself as a very shy person in that way. Yeah, I think I'm pretty introverted and shy, but I like to be around people. I like to be around people I'm comfortable with. So maybe I'm a little bit more social than most INTPs, and maybe that's because my FE is, or my my feeling side is more developed. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I need to be around people.
You need to be around people.
Like not all the time. I just mean I need a certain amount of time every so often that I'm around people. I don't like to be alone for too extended of a period of time. Maybe every week I have to get out at least once or twice to go do something social with somebody that I'm comfortable with. Mm-hmm. If it's a new person or somebody that I'm not comfortable with, it'll drain my energy. So I prefer that it's always a friend that I'm comfortable with.
Okay.
I feel like I keep saying I'm comfortable. I'm trying to think of a different word, but yeah, you know what I mean.
I think that's a perfect word to describe what you're trying to express.
Yeah.
Because if you're not comfortable around someone, then first, energy draining, and secondly, you can't be yourself, right? And then why would you want to be around someone if you can't be yourself around them?
Yeah. And another thing that I think is pretty typical is I used to work in an office and I hated it. Not because I didn't like the people, it just really drained my energy. Having to go into an environment where I had to be around a bunch of people all day, every day, every work day. And I finally recently got a fully remote job, and I'm so happy. I just it's the best for me because I can save all of my social energy for when I want to socialize, and then for work it's just some Zoom calls and sitting alone in my home, just like doing all the analysis, because I'm a data scientist. So yeah, I think that's all pretty typical. Other than just like maybe I'm a little more social than than the stereotypes you hear online about INTPs. I'm not like a hermit.
The stereotype about INTPs is that you guys are robots, or you guys are like
The warmest robots.
yeah, the warmest robots.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like the INTJs are like the something similar. I can't recall, but it's something similar. We're robots, right? But like we don't seem like we have a heart, but we do have a heart. And that's where that's the stereotype that I break, because I'm very in tune with FI, especially because I've lived so many multiple lives throughout this one single life that I had to learn what was important to myself. But it also sounds like you've gone through a lot where you understand the value of FE, the value of community, and how it helps develop who you are right now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go on.
I don't know if you should hold your thought or if I should hold my thought, but I was gonna answer more to question. I thought of something that's not typical.
No, go ahead.
Or like, so I've heard you mention this before too, that INTPs, they'll have like really thorough knowledge of things, and they can just like give you a lot of details. I don't feel like I'm really that good at that. I feel like I like to understand things, and I'll go into rabbit holes and try to really understand something, but I don't really feel like I'm that thorough. I feel like I just get it, like I get to a point where I'm satisfied with like the information I got, and then I will leave it alone, and then if somebody else asks me about it, sometimes I realize, wait, there's a lot of information missing here actually. And sometimes it's because I forget the information.
Yeah.
Or I just didn't do a very... Maybe that's me judging myself, like, the TI is like, you didn't get enough information.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait, I wish I had more information to fill in here, but stuff is missing.
That's like my follow-up question. It's like, how do you know when you have enough information then?
I don't know. When you can explain it in a way that makes sense to other people without them having to like read about it or something. Like if I could explain a concept in so much detail, like if you could teach a class on it, I guess. I don't know.
Teach a class.
I don't know, maybe that's too much.
I don't know.
But,
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like I don't live up to that very often. Maybe, sometimes with certain topics, but yeah, that's one thing I think is... I always feel like I'm not good enough INTP in that sense.
A good enough INTP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like don't count on me to like give you all the details about something, because I might not be able to. Even if it's something interesting to me.
I find that very interesting, because every time I talk to an INTP, I get a very similar answer. And it's very similar to an INTJ with NI as well too. Because we're aware of what we don't know, we never feel like we know enough information. So you constantly gather information to a point where you're like, okay, I feel like this is enough. But you know that there's way more out there that you can more information to continue to gather, but you just don't want to anymore, because at a certain point, it's like slope, right? At a certain point, just diminishing return. It's just taking space in your brain for no reason. Yeah.
For me, it's sometimes I get bored with the topic and I'm on to the next one. I'm like, okay, something else sounds really interesting and I want to learn about that, so I'll move on to that and I'll abandon the previous thing.
Does it happen often?
I think it used to happen more often than it does now. And I think I used to be more so... I don't know if this is like an autistic trait, or I mean, I haven't been diagnosed with autism or anything, or if it's INTP or what, but I would get really fixated on one topic, like MBTI.
Yeah.
And I would get kind of obsessed with it and like think about it a lot and read about it all the time. But I think MBTI is also one of those topics where it's hard to get like a very final answer, because it's a little bit ambiguous and uncertain. So you can kind of just keep going down a rabbit hole and keep questioning things over and over again. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think I get as stuck on and obsessed with topics as much as I used to. But that used to happen.
Gotcha.
I would have phases like that.
Do you find yourself like a typical stereotype of INTP is that you guys start a lot of projects, but you don't finish a lot of them. Is that something that you experience as well? Like,
Yeah. Yes.
You do.
And sometimes you don't even start the project. You just want to do it and have as an idea for 5 years. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of things I started, was really excited about them, and then abandoned it. Yeah.
How come?
Got bored.
Wait, that's it? You're just bored? You're just like,
Or-
I don't want to do it anymore? Like,
Yeah, like I think this, I mean, and again, like this relating to like problem, mental, or was it psychological problems, or is it an ADHD thing? Also haven't been diagnosed, so I don't know, but I've heard of this as a thing where you start doing something that you're excited about, and then you get into the parts, like the nitty-gritty, detailed, like repetitive, boring parts, and then you kind of lose interest because that's not fun. So that might be part of it.
Okay.
Part of it is that. Part of it is a new interesting idea. Me going crazy. I'm not sure.
I know you mentioned like off screen a few times that you find TE to be very interesting because we tend to do a lot that we set our mind to, right? But I think something that I've admired most about any users, right? Either it's any DOM, any Ox, or just having NE somewhere. I admire that you guys are able to try so many things out, because as having NI and TE in my first 2 slot, it takes me forever to try something.
Oh,
forever.
really?
I'm talking about like if I wanted to move to New York, for example. It's been something I've been thinking about for the past like 5-6 years. It's if I wanted to try a new sport, it takes a few years. For me to start a YouTube channel, it takes a few years. For me to buy a new car, it takes me a few years. I have to think about it. I have to weigh it against every other option that I have. I have to make sure that it aligns whatever the biggest plan, or the biggest plan that I have for myself. I have to make sure that it aligns with just every single aspect of my life before I even make a decision to even start that project. But the moment that I do start that project, it's go time. I won't stop unless it gets finished. And that's why whenever you hear about INTJs, that's why you hear about us accomplishing so many tasks. What you don't hear is how long it takes us to decide that this is a task that we actually want to invest our time into. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys do a lot. You guys do a lot, and I'm jealous of that. I'm so jealous of that.
I mean, it's a blessing, or it's fun. I don't know if it's a blessing. It's fun, but it's kind of a curse.
A curse?
It's like, then, sometimes I want to do too many things, and there's not enough time. And then it makes you kind of abandon things that you're in the middle of, and you don't do them very well. So, but yeah, I can start things pretty quickly that I want to try. Usually I feel like I have to. Like, if I really want to learn something or try something, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'll do it that day, or like maybe it's not a project, but like trying a new class or exploring some place or something like that. I can be motivated to do that pretty fast, but it's not like the same as starting a project.
Okay. For the younger INTPs that are watching this video, if they had issues sticking to a project, do you have any recommendations for them to, like, some things that they could do in order to maintain focus?
I wish.
So they're doomed to fail. Yeah.
No, I mean, I know there are things. Well, for me, it's always, I work well under pressure, so if I have a deadline, if you somehow get yourself a deadline in some way, that helps. Because then, I'll do it at the last minute before the deadline. But I'm better at counting sleep. Like,
counting sleep?
Like maybe before I would stay up all night to finish something last minute, but now I'm like, I have to sleep 8 hours and finish this, so I'll do it the last minute is a little bit earlier because I have to sleep.
Yeah, I saw that the last time we went out, she was freaking out because the timeline didn't make sense for you. Because by the time I went over to your place before we went out, you were like, I still have work to do. Yeah.
That saving it for the last part of the week or something.
Yeah, that was interesting to me because procrastination doesn't really make sense for me. I
don't know how to stop it.
Wait, what do you mean you don't know how to stop it? As in, like, how does the Is it because you don't think about the project? If you were given a week to work on a project, does that mean you don't think about it until day 4, day 3, day 4 before day 5 happens? Day 5.
Well, my mental process is kind of like, okay, I'm going to start on it right away. And then I will think, well, actually, I don't really need that much time. So it's fine if I don't work on it today. And it just, that kind of keeps happening until I'm like, I have just enough time, pretty much, to do it.
Okay.
It's bad. And I've never been able to really get myself to stop doing that. I guess the key is, like, make sure there's something fun about what you're doing. Like, in my job, I kind of enjoy the things I do, and if there's something kind of fun about it, kind of rewarding, like you're looking forward to getting the result, or like part of the result, or seeing some progress, that's kind of motivating, you know. You're going to figure something out about something you're working on that can motivate you to get to the next step. Thinking about that. Like, oh, maybe today I can figure out this portion of it and, you know, see what it looks like. Kind of give yourself that idea of an exciting result. Or I mean, maybe the result won't be exciting, but you'll find out what it is, and that's motivating.
So you kind of just gamify it, like give yourself a reward or try to see it as a benefit to start making small progresses towards the ending.
Yeah, I guess it is sort of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, hey, the prize is you gain new information because you see what the result looks like in whatever you're doing.
So interesting. Like, TI and E users, you guys are so interesting to me.
If anyone else has advice, please leave it in the comments.
What's one thing as an INTP that you realize is very specific to being an INTP that you don't see in other types?
Maybe just like that curiosity. Like, even when you're just talking to somebody for fun, it's like there's always like that curiosity drive. So, I mean, I don't know if there are other. I mean, I'm sure there are other types that kind of do that, but they're just always driven by curiosity. Maybe that's like one of the things. It's like, who cares about if it's practical? You just want to learn, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe ENTPs can relate as well. Or other types.
And I can relate. And I could definitely relate to that too. Because more information is more power, right? And then I guess that wasn't the final question. Then I have a better question.
But that more power thing, I don't feel like I relate to that.
Exactly, which is the last question that I have for this video, because I saw this somewhere. I forgot where I saw it, but one of the reasons when it comes down to information, if you're a TE user, you understand that information can be weaponized. As in, if you ask a TE user for some type of information, the TE user typically responds back, why do you need that information? Because they understand that it can harm someone or it can help someone have a leg up compared to everyone else. What does information feel like to you? Or what is information to you? Is information just a way for understanding, or is information a building block to get towards something? Like, can you describe what information is?
The most fun way for me to see it, or like the way that I primarily am motivated to get information, is just for fun.
For fun?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, there's like some kind of like spark in my brain that's like, oh, like this is so, like it would be so fun to just figure out this, like discover more about this thing, like find out how it works. And that is what it is to me. It's just fun.
Wow. Wow.
Most of the, I mean, there's other reasons too, but that's the main one.
I love that. I love that. To learn or to gather information, just to gather information.
Just for funsies.
All right. We're going to call it quits here. Anything else you want to say to the people before you leave?
Nope. Just if you can help me with procrastinating, put it in the comments.
Thank you everyone for watching this video. Thank you again, Michelle, for being on this channel. I'm sure other INTPs or other people are going to watch this channel or watch this video and think, wow, I want Michelle back. Which, if I did ask you to come back to this channel with a bunch of questions that the people might have, Is that something that you're going to be okay with?
Yeah, definitely. I would just also want to say I hope this was helpful, and I'll be looking at the comments if people have questions too, to answer anything like follow-up questions about what we talked about, and I hope it was helpful.
All right. Thank you again, everyone, for watching. I really do appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Bye.